Jennifer Nelson here, host of the Pocket Hours podcast. Here at Pocket Hours, I get to interview fabulous individuals in our industry to help educate us all and to up our game. We get to hear from them their secret sauce, how they are successful to hopefully help inspire us to do better work. The cool part is, as you listen to these interviews, you can also get clock hours on the go. So you listen to a podcast and then you email us at info@scoutrealestate.com to learn more about obtaining those hours. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in, and let's have some fun learning how to be better at what we do. Today, we are talking to two amazing brokers, Tyler Webster and Lalo Creme. They happen to be Scout brokers, of course. For today, though, what we're talking about is teams or not teams. To team or not to team. Both of these brokers have been on teams in the past, and they do a great job in this episode of talking about what to consider. If you're thinking about a team, if you're already on a team, how you exit a team, all kinds of good stuff in this episode. Hope you enjoy. We're trying something new today. We are sitting at the Scout office, wishing that we could be near each other, but we sort of are. We're all in other rooms. I can wave at the other people on this Pocket Hours podcast. Today we have Tyler Webster. Tyler, say hi.
Hello.
And Lalo Creme also here.
Hello.
Won't be hard to distinguish his voice, I don't think. And they are on this podcast today. Thank you, first of all, for doing this, because we're talking about teams. And these people have pretty extensive experience on teams. And so the topic today is, should you team or not? Or when to team and when not to team. How about that?
To team or not to team?
To team or not to team. Hey, there we go. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And just for our listeners' sake, the layout is going to be talking about some of the advantages to teams, talking about some of the disadvantages, the cost, both financially and to your business. And then seeing at the end, if you end up in a place where you as a team member or someone considering a team are ready to step away from that, or if you're committed to staying with it now more, even so, from what you're going to hear today. So that's what we're going to do. How exciting, right? Super fun. Okay. So for purposes of foundation, there are models that say to the potential agent that's just got their license and I'm going to practice real estate. And a lot of people will say, ooh, the best way to start is to join a team. So talk to me, both of you, about how that went down in your world.
I'm happy to go first. When I had made the decision that I wanted to be a realtor, pursue real estate, I knew that passing the test and getting your license doesn't necessarily equip you to get out there and sell homes.
So true.
And I wanted to make sure that I wanted to take it seriously. I wanted to know what I was doing. I didn't want to be out here making huge mistakes. And I thought that joining a team, or I was told that joining a team would be an excellent way to learn the ropes, learn what you don't learn on the test, and get that career started off strong. So I opted to join a team.
So you joined a team. Lalo.
I had two very different team experiences. When I very first started, it was because a friend of mine, who our children went to the same kind of schools, she said, I think you'd be great at real estate. You should do real estate. And I said, okay, because I was looking for something new to do at that time. She said, go get your license and then come and join my team. And it'll be great. So I did. I got my license and I joined her team. And that experience was rough because there wasn't much training and I felt very adrift. So I went from that non-training kind of environment over to a very highly focused training sort of a team. So from one team to another, the second one was much more about training and learning.
That's a good segue into this part, is to say, let's talk about the reasons people join a team just for fun. And you sort of talked about one, getting your feet under you, if you will, in real estate. So you just got your license and just like Tyler said, wow, I passed some ridiculous test that teaches me nothing about real estate. And I'm going to go out there and handle people's largest asset. And I'm supposed to be confident in that. Giddy up, here we go. Here's your license, go sell some houses. But that's not really the reality. We all know that, man, when we first start out, we don't know anything. We don't know what we're doing. So a team offers that. So what else does it offer? Like, what do you think is good about a team?
having all of the back end stuff kind of covered for you. The idea was you would be able to just focus on building relationships, and all the nitty gritty, the details, the admin, the transaction coordination would all be sort of taken care of. And also, there was a sort of allure at first to the idea that the team would provide leads. But what that meant was they would provide cold calling opportunities. People would sign up on their website, and you would dial those people who had signed up on the website, who had looked at a house on a website.
We have mentioned a couple of things about sort of the why. What's the draw? And Tyler, you started one, and that was to say community. And I'd love to speak to that because I think that's a big, big part of why people join teams. Talk to me about what that meant for you.
Well, I'm a people person, and I know that I thrive with accountability. I can see where in this industry it'd be really easy to not know what to do or not have the motivation to do whatever you're supposed to do. Not all of it's fun. Some of it's awesome. Some of it's really not. And so it's nice to have people to lean on throughout the fun times, the not so fun times. We call it the peaks and the valleys of despair, and just having people who are in it with you and hopefully share aligned values. Like, hopefully you've joined a team that you resonate with, and that you like the people on it. Should make it better.
Yeah. Lalo, anything about that for you?
Being part of the team that I was on, I met some of my favorite people in this city and continue to work with them. Tyler's one of them. That is just so incredibly valuable. So the community thing is a huge deal. I mean, wherever you go, any job you have, it all depends on who you work with as to whether it's fun or not, because you spend a lot of time with these people, right? So I love the fact that I met wonderful people through the team experience.
This piece of it, I think, is critical, and I want to speak to it just from a brokerage owner perspective, and that's to say real estate can be incredibly isolating. It can be lonely. I think people can ask themselves the question often, why am I doing this again? What am I getting out of it? And so forth. So having that team, that group of people that's in it with you, doing the same work you're doing, going through the same struggles or you're having with a hard seller, hard buyer, losing offers, whatever it is, motivating you, I think is a huge component to why people are attracted to a team experience. If there was a brokerage or brokerages that offered that smaller experience of sort of a team atmosphere, but that didn't cost you as much, I'm wondering, listeners, and for Tyler and Lalo to speak about this in a minute, would that be the same? In other words, do you need to pay for the team in order to get that same feeling of community?
We kind of experience firsthand. So Lalo and I came from the same team at different times, and our stories are different, but it worked for where we were at in our businesses. But I feel like I got to keep everything that I really, really treasured about a team, like community, like accountability, mentorship, having somebody to ask questions. Sometimes things come up immediately, like client questions, and you want to know how to field them, and you don't know the answer. And it's nice to have a person that doesn't respond in 3 to 10 business days. It's good to have that support. And I've found that here after making that shift, but it comes, I think, with a special model. I don't know if it's going to work at every brokerage, and I see it working at smaller ones better than bigger, but everybody has different models. There's definitely the chance to find something that doesn't cost as much, but has similar impacts and benefits.
Yeah, I mean, we should talk about the costs of being on a team. I don't know how every single team model works, but in my experience, you're giving half of all of your commission back to the team. Now, what's that for? Sometimes it's for leads to be provided to you to call. Sometimes it's for the transaction coordination, and it's for events, and it's for various levels of support in your business. But it is your business, even if you're on a team. That's a lot. Half. That's gnarly. Now, I know someone who set up a team and they said they were going to have the percentage fluctuate over time. the more deals you do, the more confident you become, the less you're leaning on the team's administration side of things, the less commission you'll give to the team. But in my experience, it's been a flat out 50-50. And that's kind of a hard pill to swallow, especially when you ramp up your own business and you become more confident and you feel like you're doing deals that weren't provided to you by the team's lead generation systems. Like if you go out and you host an open house on your own dime, you find your own lead, you close that transaction, it kind of hurts to have to give half of your commission to someone else when they really had very minimal parts to do with that. Does that make sense?
For sure.
I'd love to roll off of that for a second. That alone was a factor that made me look elsewhere from the team model was, well, obviously the split, but that's just the team split. Usually you also have a split to the brokerage too. So when you zoom out, it's like on top of this 50%, there's also this many thousands per year that is owed to your brokerage, as they should get a split. They're your brokerage. It starts getting even more expensive, as Lalo was alluding to. If business is coming from models that the team has in place, if you're a really awesome cold caller and your business is built off of online leads and you're good with calling them and that resonates with you and your approach to business, it could totally be worth that split. I saw it working for some people. Me, I did not close a single piece of business from calling. And I think I was calling for like 3 years. That's a lot of like FUs to get every morning. And like,
Yeah.
it's just didn't make me the best version of myself. My vibrations were lower. It was harder to get out in the field and do the real work because that's not the job I want to be doing. So I could see like if the open house leads were something that we could keep a larger chunk of our commission, then it would, maybe the model would work better, but it didn't.
And I think both of you mentioned this before we even started this podcast today, and that's to say the structure of that model is so important. So if you are thinking about a team, really spend a lot of time finding out the different modalities out there, right? Go interview different team members to find out how it works, how it's set up, what you get, what you're paying for, what you receive, and then how you transition into your own name being what you're calling about. Because if you're on a team, the way it's usually structured is that you are a part of that team name. We're going to just say Smith for fun, right? I'm on the Smith team. When I'm making calls, my name's Jennifer. I work for the Smith team. And if there's a sale or a closing, the sign up in the house is the Smith team. So you're building the Smith team. And hopefully in exchange for that, for a short amount of time, you're gaining a bunch of real world knowledge about the industry and about how to handle clients, how to write contracts, how to this, that sets you up to step into your own non-Smith team that you create yourself, right? That's your own business, that people learn your last name and that you keep your money. But I think so often what happens instead is that people get onto the Smith team without really knowing anything about teams. Someone told them, you should join the Smith team. They're great. They get on the Smith team and then they stay there because they're really afraid they can't fly on their own. And so they're giving away. I just told this story. I was talking to a broker who'd been on a team for a while. And she told me a couple of years ago that she made $400,000 that year. And that 200 of it went to her team leader. That is so much money. Like that hurts my brain. I can't do that.
That's a real pain moment, that is.
You might be hearing this as a person who's on a team or thinking about a team and saying, I'm never going to make $400,000. That's not our point. The point is, what amount of money does it cross over to say, I'm not getting the value for what I'm paying in and it's ready for me to take off. Pocket Hours is brought to you by Scout Real Estate. Hi, I'm Jennifer Nelson, owner at Scout Real Estate. I started this firm with the vision of doing things differently, with our focus on legendary service for our clients and creating a community of producing agents to spur each other to do higher quality work. If you are interested in learning more about how a small group of like-minded brokers have come together to have some fun while doing a lot of business, reach out to me, 206-227 7966 or email jennifer@scoutrealestate.com. I promise you this, fun is a high priority for me, but so is winning. So if you appreciate those two things, you might be interested in Scout. Looking forward to hearing from you. I'd love for you guys to speak to just the actual financial cost of being on a team.
I think I calculated the year that I made the switch. It was at the end of the year, which is typically, I think, when people look at new brokerages, if they're considering a switch, it's like at that time. It had been a slower year for me. I was definitely feeling it on the bank account. And I did the math of even on my slowest year, if I had been not on a team and was able to keep more of that money, it was daunting to me. It would have been life-changing. Like, I was just thinking about the position I would have been in otherwise, and it was at least $40K. I mean, it was a lot of money at that time. I was like, I could see $40K really helping me right now.
Yeah, I mean, to your point is to say there's fees that you pay the team leader, there's fees you pay your brokerage, there's fees for a transaction coordinator, there's fees in real estate.
There's time. I don't think I was always invested in everything that was expected of us on the team. You know, I like some of the things, but maybe didn't like to do all of the things, but you had to do all of it. And I don't know if I was necessarily getting the value from what we were supposed to be getting value from, coaching calls or stuff like that. And it wasn't our results. Like, my results were so stagnant and feeling the pressure of needing a paycheck, like something had to change.
Would you say that every brokerage has its own kind of formula for how to do business? Because I think here at Scout, there's kind of a formula. It's like the ninja kind of style of things. The team we were at, it was more like quantifiable numbers and make sure you've dialed this many and spoken to this many and
Wring the sponge dry of all opportunity.
report the numbers. And it was all very anal and spreadsheety. Whichever brokerage you go to, team or not team, there's going to be a kind of an underlying formula to how people are successful. And those are things that you've got to choose for yourself, right? Are you good at cold calling or are you better at open housing? Are you great at social mediaing or are you part of a network with your church? There's so many different ways of picking up leads. The brokerage that you choose should fit your happy place for doing that, because when you're happy, you're successful. The ideal team situation might be that you are afraid of the new industry that you've stepped into. You're worried that you don't know how to do it. It's like passing your driver's license. I understand how to operate the car, but you don't really know what's going to happen out there in the streets until you get out there and drive. And so with a team, there's a cushion. There's safety involved in being in a team because there's people helping you and looking out for you and teaching you how things work. But I think 5 to 10 transactions, you should be looking at your exit strategy. You know, it's graduating from college and moving on to go out into the big wide world and start for yourself. I was scared to leave. I don't think this is anyone's fault but mine. I'd found myself in a position where I felt reliant on the transaction coordinator. If I had a question, I knew it would be answered pretty quickly by someone, as Tyler said earlier. I was scared that if I went out as a solo agent, I wouldn't be able to deal with the transaction coordination. You know, the thought hadn't crossed my mind that for $200, I could get the same service that I was paying $50,000 for over a year, right?
Great point. Yeah.
You know, Scout in particular is a room full of friends. And it's not a team, but it sure feels like one. The collaborative aspect of this brokerage, it makes it feel like a team. I felt like my wings had been clipped somewhat and I was too scared to move on. But looking back, I think you do a number of transactions, you get your feet on the ground and you go. You say, thank you for all this knowledge. You move on and you start your business. That was a lot of talking.
That's great. It was great information. I will just add, and I mean this for those of you listening that are on a team or thinking about a team, there are predatory teams. And I mean that. And I'm not going to say any names. That's my opinion. But that's to say there are people out there that, whether they are consciously doing this or not, are absolutely clipping wings and are saying, you need us. You can't make it on your own. I had a friend at another brokerage say to me, I was told that by my team leader. Like, I heard you were talking about leaving, but I just want you to know, I just don't think you have it. I don't think you have what it takes to be out on your own. You should really stay here. We'll take care of you. We'll give you leads and we'll whatever. And that to me is predatory. That's wrong. That's terrible. I don't think that's the majority teams, but it's happening. It's happening even in where our brokerage is in West Seattle. I will say, though, that if you're about to become part of a team, ask what the exit strategy is. To Layla's point, okay, I'm thinking about your team. How do you graduate me? What's the timeline? And if they don't have that answer, find another team. Because team leaders that just want people on their team for no reason and for any length of time aren't really thinking about what's best for that person. They're thinking about filling a slot to make them more money. And what I want is a team leader to step back and say, you need my guidance and counsel for this amount of time, but then I want you to go do what I know you can do well.
Yeah, and you don't want to piss anyone off, and just suddenly exiting could do exactly that. It's better to be upfront because we all bump into each other over transactions, and it's good to have great relationships with all of our colleagues. So you wouldn't want to, be a dick.
Don't be a dick. I like it. So Tyler, talk to me a little bit about alignment. I think you brought it up and saying that's an important piece no matter where you are. You could be 20 years into this and at a brokerage that you don't align with or on a team that you don't align with. Talk to us about how important that is for your business.
I think it's huge. And just in life. I mean, it's important in business, but I feel like I could place it in any realm of life with friendships. I can see other people that I'm friends with and they don't have healthy relationships with their managers of their company or whatever, and it just sucks the soul. I'd see them as a different person. I'm like, man, you really should get a new job. I get that it's not that simple, but if there's something that we can be in power or in choice of, I want to choose to be surrounded by people that I can learn and grow from and feel supported by and have shared values. Our awesome values are on our wall when we walk in. Something that I think would be really helpful at any brokerage. Scout has proven if someone doesn't necessarily vibe, not that we're like, they can't be here, but like if you don't have the right values, the model is just going to naturally kind of slip you out because like we have a no asshole policy. Like it's going to be really hard for you to hang if you're an asshole. Like it's just not going to work out. But you'll be surprised to hear the real estate industry is not immune of assholes. So like it's finding where you can be your best self and shine your brightest light, whatever that looks like. I don't want to go back to the training that teams provide. It was so invaluable. It was really, really an important piece of feeling confident in this business. And I think that the training I got from the team I was on was awesome. I think it was top tier. So I want to speak to that value. But yeah, you don't need to stay in college your whole life. I mean, some people do, and that's fine. But like there should be a time where you can take this and move on and then hopefully find a collective where you can get those same kind of benefits, but grow your own business. Have signs with your own name on it.
All the things that build you up.
Collect Zillow reviews in your name instead of the team's name. All the things.
All those things matter for sure.
For people who maybe are on a team right now and they're thinking, yeah, but I need this particular thing that I'm being provided with. I experienced that feeling as well. For instance, I've got a question that I need answered within 3 minutes about a sewer connection. Can your team do that in 3 minutes? Probably. Can our brokerage do that? Yes, definitely. It happens every day. We get answers to questions immediately. We're on a text group with each other and we've got Marco Polo with each other. Questions get answered really quickly here. Okay. What about transaction coordination and the back end? On my team, I have someone who's dedicated to doing that for us. Here at Scout, yes, we've got that as well. And it's a lot cheaper. What other things did we get on teams that events, right. So the team does a thing once a year or twice a year. Would that be something that your brokerage does as well? Well, here, yes, it is actually.
And I'd argue the quantity of events is higher here. quantity and quality. Like there's such a range of different things for different clients.
What about marketing? So your team provides what? Open house signs, flyers, an email that goes out monthly. We have that here. We have exactly that. So I can't think of anything that I've lost other than internet leads. And I didn't want those.
Okay, makes sense. If you're listening to this and you're considering a team or you're newly on a team, go back, maybe step back for a second and say, why do I think I need this? What is the fear, potentially, right, that's holding me in this spot? And is it possible that I don't need a team at all? I mean, to your point, Tyler, like everybody graduates from college, hopefully. That's the goal, right? We're going to school to learn this to go do something else. Are there other ways besides college you can get to be doing your dream? And we have literally millions of examples of people that never went to college and are living their dream and making the money they want to make. So is the team the only way to step into this industry? My answer is no. There's lots of ways. Are teams inherently bad? No, there's teams that are great. But if that's what you feel like you have to do in order to learn real estate, I'm going to challenge you to think there's lots of ways that don't cost that much money.
Did you ever have an opportunity to start a team? Did it ever cross your mind to be a team leader of some sort? Or did you always just think to yourself, no, I'm solo and I'll be a brokerage of solo agents?
It didn't cross my mind, and I think the reason was because I feel so impassioned about empowering people to do their thing. Like, it's really one of my core values, and so, whether I was an assistant manager at Windermere and then another owner at a different firm and then started Scout, one of my things that gives me great joy is to say, "How can I help you learn that you got this? You can do this, and I can help you do that, but in a way that allows you to use your own strengths and build your own confidence." Many of you on this podcast have heard me reference my daughter. She's 10 years old. Her name is, and it is a lifelong thing as a parent to figure the same thing out, to say, I could help do all of these things all the time, or I could help learn how to do it. And literally watch her become so excited because she's gaining so much confidence. So it's one of my joys. And so it's the reason why I set up the structure here at Scout the way I did. For people that are on a team, you might have figured that out. You may have negotiated a great split that changes year after year, that recognizes your new developments, that gives you opportunity to lead the listing appointment, to, do the skills that will really stepping stone take you to the place where you feel more confident. If that's not happening, though, take a harder look. We talk a little bit about education, and I want to go back to that for a second. What do you think were some of the main takeaways that you got? You said you learned top tier sort of training from this team that you're on. Like, give me an example of something you learned from that team in their education.
The forms, how to write an offer, their version of a buyer's consult, just the core fundamentals. Like anywhere you go, you would want to be trained. And it just felt really thorough. Obviously, I don't really have much to compare it to because I only went through like initial training once, but I really enjoyed it. It was one-on-one, or, some people had it two-on-one, but it felt very at the pace that I needed it to go. And I felt really equipped to get out there and handle it. I think my first consult, I partnered with the person who trained me. So it was during COVID, so it was all Zoom, but she was on the call with me as my assistant. So like that just made me feel like I had another layer of support, which we would have here at Scout if anyone needed that, right? That felt invaluable at the time.
For sure. When you step into the firsts of all those things, right? Having someone standing next to you even, or on the call or whatever. Yep. What about you, Lalo?
I think there was a good emphasis on how to be productive at an open house, for instance, as opposed to just letting people come in and go out. There was a good school of thought of how to capitalize on open houses. And as Tyler says, the forms, there was a lot of in-depth forms and changes in the industry we would look at, and a lot of reading data, infostats, or whatever that's called, just learning how to read the charts about each particular neighborhood's activities. But it's nothing that we haven't covered here at this brokerage. As Tyler says, I don't know what it's like to pass your test and drop yourself in Windermere. What the heck does that look like?
Right. I could tell you. I was there. And I think some of those larger brokerages do a little bit lowest common denominator training. And that's not necessarily wrong or bad. It's just because they're such a large entity and they have so many brokers at their firms that they sort of say, gosh, if we can do these 4 or 5 things, we can get brokers through these 4 or 5 classes, they'll be okay. They'll learn enough or they can stop drinking so much out of the fire hose and step right in. So the sort of specialized or customized or one-on-one is not what you're going to find at a lot of those bigger brokerages. And I think it's what is one of the lures of a team is to say, but wait, if I have an embarrassing question about something that I think I'm supposed to know, here's a safe place for me to ask that. Are there brokerages besides teams that you can have that same safe space, right? If you were talking to, which we are hopefully, people who are considering a team or in the beginning of at a team, what would you say to them to think about, to ask themselves, to evaluate? What would you say?
I think a big thing is if at the outset they say the split is 50-50 forever, then you should consider knowing that you want to be there until you're ready to move on. But maybe there's teams out there whose splits fluctuate, and that might be okay. You might be getting enough business through their systems where the split is totally fine. If you like doing internet dialing and you're happy for the team to pay for that, maybe that shakes out perfectly once the split has become more favorable. If I was to warn anyone about anything, I would say is just think about the money that you're really giving away after a certain period of time. Sure, it's worth it for the learning process. But as I say, 5 to 10 transactions is enough to know what you're doing. So I would suggest that that's when it's time to move on, I think.
I think just like the awareness that there is another option, because I felt like I had two options. You have a team or you have very lonely, independent, good luck out there. Like I didn't even register like that there could be something that hybrids the two perfectly. Like wasn't even a thought. So that's what I would go back and say, hey, have you ever thought about this?
But was there such a thing?
Maybe. I don't know. I didn't find it.
I don't talk to many people who have the experience that we have right now. But again, I don't get out much.
I wasn't aware of it. I would have probably moved sooner. Like, I was really trying to make it work on the team. Let me do some administrative roles. Let me make it work. Yeah, what a blessing. Scout just showed up one day.
Yay. Believe it or not, listeners, this was not rehearsed ahead of time. They are not getting paid for this. Truly, I asked them to be on the show today to talk about their team experience. But what I think you're hearing is that there is a third option. So if you are out there and sort of feeling like both of them, should I be on a team or should I be at a large firm where no one knows my name and there's no training or very little training? Wait, what if there's a third option? What if there's a team-like atmosphere that you're not giving away half your income for? And that's true. We're here. We're Scout. We'd love to hear from you if this appeals to you. But that's not really the point of the show. The point of the show is to say, check for alignment. Know that there has to be a structure in each team that you are aware of in the beginning and walk in eyes wide open to say, okay, I'm willing to eat this for 10 to 12 transactions or whatever you said, Layla, 8 to 10. And then at 10, everybody knows I'm out, right? Walk in saying, I'm going to protect the fact that I need to actually keep this money. As Tyler said, that 40 grand that year would have changed her life. I don't know how 40 grand can't change anyone's life. That's a lot of money. So pay attention to that. Make sure that the training that you're getting helps you build your business. That the training isn't just about building the team's business, but it's truly about getting you prepared to build your own business, right? And then in terms of team leads, everybody loves to hear that someone's going to hand us business, right? Like that's amazing. The reality is we have to go make our own business. And if we're sitting around hoping someone's going to give us leads, we're not going to have very much business. And so don't hang your hat on that one very alluring thing, which is any company that says, I'll promise you leads. Careful. Be very careful what that looks like. If that's one house a year and you're like, but that's one house a year, you're still making a very big financial decision based on one transaction that you got from that team. So bigger picture, right, is that, wow, is this helping me learn the skills to build my own business, not wait for this lead generator somewhere in the sky to hand me folks.
And are you going to be happy? You've got to be happy with the path you choose, right? Because if you're not happy doing something, the results just won't be good. Whereas if you enjoy a certain thing, like I enjoy doing open houses and I get, results from open houses. It's because I enjoy doing it. And if you go into something hating it, there's a very slim chance that you'll get results from it. You have to be careful, as you say, with the research into what you're going to end up doing for the next 6 months if you go in that direction.
For sure.
Once you know that something's possible, it's easier to attain. Once somebody breaks a world record, it's easier to then strive to break because we know that it's possible. Like it's been done before. And I kind of feel the same way about this conversation. Like before, we kind of only thought we have these two options, but like knowing that there's this third option, it probably exists elsewhere too. But it just knowing like that you can go have that conversation, find the option that works. And if it doesn't feel like you're in the right mold, like you probably aren't. You shouldn't be in a mold. Like you should be able to be yourself and plug in as yourself to whatever and thrive.
Yeah, and once you find that place where you feel like you can really grow, it's hard to leave. I talk to many brokers that are like, I'm never leaving because this is the ingredients that help me feel successful in the business. And it usually has to do with community. It usually has to do with accountability, all the things we're talking about. But they've also figured out a way to not have them pay 50% of their income to get that same thing, that same feeling.
It's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of money. Well, thank you all. I appreciate your time today. I know that the listeners are going to appreciate your perspective and your frankness and authenticity that I get to appreciate every day. But thank you for being on the show.
Pleasure.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank you so much for listening into Pocket Hours. I hope this has been interesting, fun, made you laugh, made you think, spurred you on to do and implement some new things in your business. I appreciate your time and hope this has been a good use of it, period. Now, go be the agent you would hire.
Audiotocracy.